Today I am actually going to show you my haircut. So we're going to be doing an undercut, and I obviously really love this haircut. I've had it for 10 years, so I know all the ins and outs, and so I just want to share that with you today and really make it simple, because I know a lot of stylists can get a little intimidated like doing short hair, cutting short hair. I love to cut short hair, but I didn't always, right? Like until I had short hair, I was actually really kind of afraid of cutting short hair, like cutting someone's hair off or like buzzing it, like we're gonna do with this beautiful Lana today, my beautiful model Lana from Pivot Point. So I'm just gonna start off by sectioning, and I wanna talk to you a little bit. As soon as I get the section, I'm gonna show you a great picture, and you guys all get to have a little bit of a giggle and talk about like why we would undercut. So there's a couple different reasons, and I think one of the common misconceptions about undercuts is that people just do them to maybe have like something edgier, which is definitely like one of the cases. So like an undercut can be a little bit of an edgier look, and so that's not the only reason though. So with this sectioning, I am just taking a U parting, so I'm working off, and I'll turn her around in just a second, but we're gonna, if it was on a person, you know, like parietal ridge, middle of the eyebrow, you can adjust that, and I'll talk to you about when we would adjust it when we get to that point. But back to why we undercut. So one of the reasons is it does give a certain kind of look, right? And you can make short hair or undercuts, you can make them look softer. You could make them look a little bit edgier with straighter lines, with the length that you're cutting. So there's different ways to adjust the undercut itself. And really what an undercut is just a disconnection in hair, right? There's going to be a shorter section underneath, and then it's going to probably have some longer hair on top. And so that's all it is. The range of the disconnection is always variable, right? It's dependent on who sits down on your chair, what they are going for. I am going to dip this sectioning a little bit back here just to give myself, if I were to just come around the parietal ridge as it stands up above, I wouldn't really have enough hair to come down over this undercut. So I am going to dip this sectioning down a little bit for you. And I want to put out a little bit of disclaimers today. When I am cutting, I am not going to be in ergonomically correct positions. So I'm making that disclaimer now. So don't stand like I stand. I really just want to give you like the sectioning, the techniques, but I also want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. So I might look a little funny and get in some weird positions. It's like that. Do as I say, not do as I'm looking right now. So with undercutting though, another good reason so I'm a stylist, just like most of you joining us today. I'm actually in my studio right now. I'm based in Southern California in a suburb just north of LA. Lived here pretty much my whole life. And I actually got my start in styling and upstyling and bridal work in particular. And what I learned in bridal work was that I needed to figure out ways to condense hair quickly when I was doing like a big bridal party. And so I learned to do like ponytails, braids. It was a great way to condense hair. Well, another reason we can do undercutting is to condense hair. So a lot of our clientele, and this is great even if they have fine texture, right? Because even if they have fine texture, like my hair is really fine, and I would say like 90% of our clientele, depending on where you live, but I travel around a lot for Lonza, so I see a lot of stylists and I talk to them about their clientele, and we have very similar clientele. So even if they're fine, but they have a ton of density, meaning they have a ton of strands per square inch on their head, sometimes we need to condense that hair, and I'll show you exactly why. Okay, so everyone gets to laugh at Sarah, probably, let's see, circa, I don't know, 2009. But this is exactly why we do an undercut. So here I am in 2009, and as you can see, I have fine hair, but I have so much hair. And like, I'm not saying like there's anything wrong with this haircut, but it's poofy, right? Like, I have a ton of hair. I like, obviously, I don't know. It was just too much for my face, I feel like. So sometimes we need to undercut to condense hair. So hopefully everybody gets a little giggle. That's my daughter when she was just probably like 1, but now she's in high school. It's so weird. I have a high schooler. Okay, so let's get into this haircut. I want to try to keep it as simple as possible. So I'm just going to go in with a 1.5 here, and I'm just going to clip this right off just to save time. Now, if your client is getting color and they want a haircut like similar to mine, and like let's say they have grays, one thing I recommend on this haircut is leaving them at like a 3 guard. Like if you are going to use a clipper, like leave them at a 3 on the sides, just so that their color doesn't grow out as fast. I mean, like obviously their color is going to grow at the same rate, but I just mean like so that there's enough hair to color that when it grows out, it's just not like all gray. Because if you take them down to a 1.5 here, and then you try to cover their gray, like their gray is going to show almost a week later. So I'm just going to start by like clipping this right off, and I'm just going to do a 1.5 just because on the mannequin, you know, it's not like a human where the hair lays down nice and flat. It's sewn like right out of her head. So however you want to get this hair off. Now let's talk a little bit while I cut this, a little bit about short hair. Let me make sure everyone can see actually what I'm doing. I'm just clippering this off, but with short hair, sometimes even women are afraid of getting a short haircut when they really could use it, especially like as they start to thin or if they got that long witchy hair. But what they're afraid of sometimes is it looking too masculine or too harsh on them, right? And so there's different ways to make short hair a little bit softer or a little bit harsher looking. So one way is like definitely like using a clipper to it is a little bit harsher. It's really short. So you could, everything is about like dividing and conquering. And when I teach anything, actually, not just cutting, but I talk a lot about having tools in the tool belt, right? And different techniques to do anything. So that way, no matter who sits down in your chair, you can know which tools you need to pull out of your tool belt and use on that client. And oftentimes, we're needing to use more than one tool, right? Like, we don't typically just use one cutting technique on a client or one color technique. It's always a combination. All right, that's good enough. Another thing we can do to make this look a little bit softer is we can scissor cut this, right? Like where we could leave a little bit of extra length and like we can leave some softness around the edges. So leaving softness around any of the hairline, that's gonna make it look softer. Now something you can do to make it look a little bit edgier is clipper it or take it shorter. Another thing is putting in hard lines, right? So hard lines are going to strengthen a line and make it look stronger, harder, right? If you want to keep this soft, keep this natural, then I recommend using a scissor here. Some women do not like a trimmer to their neck. It just freaks them out. So just something to keep in mind in my little tip for that. Another thing is when we are working with a woman's cut versus a men's, like if they want it maybe a little bit edgier, but they still want it to look more on the feminine side, then stay with angles. So roundness, angles create softness. Square lines across the back is typically a little bit more masculine. So it's totally going to depend on your client. Make sure you show them pictures, or they show you pictures, like if they are going to go short, and then kind of figure it out from there. Okay, so we've gotten that done. Step one of the haircut done. Half the hair is gone. That's awesome. All right, when we talk about this haircut, I want you to think of the number 4. All right, so everybody hold up your 4 fingers. Let's see it. I can see it. Give me those hearts. Give me those 4s. And we're going to think of this haircut in the number 4. So there's going to be 4 points and 4 sections. We're going to keep it really simple. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to section her right down the middle. And this isn't going to matter where she parts right off the bat. So typically anyways, for this haircut, they end up having like a signature side, right? Like this is my shorter signature side, I call it. And then this is my longer side. One tip I have for that is if they're going from long hair to short hair and they want the signature side, but they don't know what side it's going to be. First of all, you're going to check for cowlicks in the front, right? So before you even like cut the hair, check the cowlicks in the front and see which way their hair is going to behave better. Like if they're going into this haircut and they don't have a set part, like be the professional and pick it for them. They're going to adjust with the blow dry and styling to whatever you do, right? Now, if they don't have any cowlicks and you don't have to go a specific way, the next thing I would do for them is ask them if they have a preferred side when they get their picture taken. Okay, I know this sounds really weird, but if they have a preferred side, and everyone, if you don't know this, you do have like a softer side and a harsher side of your face. It's just how it is. And if you want to figure out what yours is, you can actually take a picture of this side and then take a picture of this side, your profile, and you will find out really quickly what side of your face you like better. So if you get to pick what their part is, that's honestly what I would ask them. And whatever is their softer side, cut it shorter on that side. So this is the softer side of my face. Like I like to be photographed from this side. So, you know, that's why I picked this to be shorter, because I'm more comfortable with this being open and exposed. So not end of the world, but just a little tip when you are going to take someone short and you get to pick what is their signature side. All right, so I am going to start with this haircut wet, and then we're going to blow dry it and cut it dry. We're just going to put in this foundation, and I call myself a recovering perfectionist a lot because I mean, I'm still a little bit of a perfectionist, but sometimes being a perfectionist can be detrimental, especially when we're working behind the chair and we get so zoned in on something, especially when we're starting out and learning how to do hair, and it takes us forever to do something. And at the end of the day, like we don't have all day to do one haircut. We need to learn to work smarter, not harder. But sometimes, I mean, I'm there, I am that OCD stylist, so I would get a little bit carried away on how long a haircut would take me. So what I've done here is, let me just start right there, is I've sectioned her into 4. So I've gone from ear to ear, just straight across like that, and then from the center all the way to the back. So 4 sections, back to the 4, and then let's talk about our 4 points. So point 1 is going to be the nape. Point 2 is going to be the side of the ear. Point 3 is the other side of the ear. And then point 4 is this midline here. Now, all of the points can move up and down, but they don't move back and forth. So point 1 can be here. Point 1 can be here, here, anywhere up and down. I will recommend, though, when you're first learning how to do this cut, keep point 1 lower than what you think. So start the haircut longer than what you think. Just because if you take point 1 a little bit too high by accident, when you're putting in your foundation, you blow dry it and it really pops up, especially with the occipital here. The mannequin's a little bit more forgiving, but some people's occipital really protrudes out. So when that shrinks up, it can tend to look a little bit like a bowl cut instead of come down into that soft point there. So just something to keep in mind with point 1. All right, so my first section, I am just going to take section 1 here, and I'm going to pick a point at my point 2, which is above the ear, right? I'm going to get this out of the way. And in haircutting, honestly, like haircutting took me a while to get. Color came a little bit more naturally for me. And so it took me a little bit to understand, like when I cut the hair, like what it was going to do. And so through the years, I like developed some like safety measures for me. But then what I learned was that one, cutting dry hair is totally okay. I wasn't taught that in school. So just throwing that out there. If you are new to the industry and you didn't know that to cut dry hair is okay, totally okay. And the other thing that we're not really taught in school a lot, well, it depends on where you go, but is to trust your eyes. Like our eyes behind the chair are one of our biggest assets, to be honest. And so I wasn't really taught how to freehand cut. So I am actually going to show you, again, you can do this many ways. You can put finger tension on this if you want and cut it that way. You could take a clipper, for all I care, into this if that's what works for you. And as long as you know how to use your tools and your tool belt and get the end result that you and your client desire, that is what matters at the end of the day. I'm just going to show you how I freehand cut this. So for this, I'm going to not have her too slightly tilted forward on this haircut, just a tidge, not too much, a tidge, I love that word. And so I'm going to go from point 1, which is my nape here, and I'm going to pick a point on point 2. Now, if they like to have their ears covered a little bit, like the tops, like I don't care on this side, like, or I don't even care if my ears are exposed, to go a little bit longer. Like you might want to pick here then, like mid-ear for point 2. So we're just putting in the foundation. I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to pick a section from point 1. I'm going to tilt her a little bit more so that the hair hugs the nape a little bit. I'm just going to comb this down. I'm putting no tension on this, and I'm just going to pick my line. If it's easier for you to see, let me scoot her over a little bit. I'm going to come out of frame. If it's too hard to just pick your line and cut, you can also use, like if it's easier for you to visualize with your comb, you can also use comb tension, right, and cut this. So I'm just going to kind of comb this down. And I'm going to scoot back a little bit so I can get my elbow in here really quick, because I'm right-handed, so I'm going to come from this way. It's just easier for me. I'm going to turn her a little bit. So my elbow's going to be in the way for just a minute, but you guys get the gist. And I'm just going to visualize my line, and then I'm going to freehand cut this. So no tension. I am not deathly concerned with this line yet. My haircut has a soft finish on all of this hair. Well, it's a little actually more blunt right now, but I like it a little bit piecey. So I'm going to piece this all out when it's dry. So section 1 is done. I'm going to comb section 2 down. I do like to use the fine teeth of the comb here just to get the hair, especially in fine hair, a little bit more together. But if you're looking for like a soft finish, then use the wide teeth. This is going to spread everything out a little bit more and give you a little bit of a not so precise finish. But because I'm already like freehand cutting this, it's already going to be a little bit looser. Okay, I can see my guide underneath. So I've only taken 2 sections here. That's another thing I wasn't really taught, was that sometimes it's okay, like if they don't have a lot of density. We've already taken out all this density. It's not like I need to take 5 sections within this little section. Again, at the end of the day, like we need to like be proficient at our time behind the chair and make money. So I'm just going to follow my guide underneath and cut that right off. Yeah, might end up going a little bit shorter there, but it's okay. Okay, now I'm going to turn her around and do the same thing. And the reason that I take the angled sectioning here is so that my eye can kind of follow where I want my cut to go, right? It's a little bit easier for me to visualize because I talk about trusting our eyes. All right. So I'm going to comb that straight down. And if it is getting too dry, make sure you are putting in this foundation with the same amount of wetness there. Okay, so I have I'm right-handed, so on this side, it's easier for me to come from the back, and I have a guide here from the other side and go up from there. And I'm gonna pick middle of the ear so I can kind of see. So I have my guide here, and then I can see exactly where the tip of my shear is going. I'm still only cutting in the access point of my shear, the sharpest part of my blades. All right, and then we're gonna let it down from there. I'm gonna release this hair, comb it down. All right, I can see my guide underneath. I'm just gonna follow that right up. Cut in my access, there we go. All right, simple as that. Let's move on to the side. Now on this side, okay, so we have our 4 points. We have point 1, point 2. So it's point 1 is coming up to point 2, and then from point 2 and 3, we want to come down to 4. So when you pick this point 4 in the front, I usually aim for like the nose, which is, I'm a little bit past the nose. I'm probably at cheekbone now, top of the lip or chin. So it's going to depend on where your client wants that finished length in the front. So you're going to pick a point there. So it's going to go from down to up to back down, most likely. All right, and with this sectioning, I am going to take a slight angle down this way. Again, so just so that my eye can kind of follow the line. Even though I'm not looking right at the line, my eye, it kind of sees it in the background. It's like a peripheral, right? So I'm going to comb this down. Now I'm going to make sure that her head is straight at this point, and I'm going to pick that line. I'm going to come in above here, so it's going to look a little bit funny. And let's just shoot for like I'm going to shoot for the lip on the mannequin. Again, I'm just going to freehand this and cut that all off. And then we're going to do our signature side at the end, so don't worry too much about that. And then let's see if this section is, yep, it's fine enough where I can see my guide underneath. So I'm going to comb this straight down, like even her fringe. I'm going to comb it more into like where its natural fall would be. And we're going to cut that. I'm going to try to like keep my elbow up here so you can see. We're just going to freehand cut this. And again, I'm aiming for her lips. And then if I want, I can slightly over direct this back. And I'm not too worried about all this because I'm going to, and on the mannequin's a little funny, I'm going to refine all this on dry hair. All right. Same thing on the other side, slightly angled down so that my eye can visually see the angle I want to cut at. I'm going to scoot this over, comb down. It's getting a little bit dry, so I'm going to resaturate with my spray bottle. On this side, it's a little bit easier for me to come up, and I can see my guide here in the back. So I'm coming, this is nice and clean. I'm coming from the lip. And I think too, like it's important as hairstylists, sometimes we tend to overthink things or overcomplicate things. Like I know I did for a long time. We love to make it difficult sometimes, maybe even as humans too, in life in general. Sometimes we overcomplicate things, or sometimes it's okay to keep things simple. So this is simple, 4 sections, 4 points. I've only done about 8 sections. So I have my guide from this side. I'm going to kind of come up. See, I can gather the hair there and start to cut. I see my guide underneath. And this is just the foundation, you guys. It's not the final haircut. And a lot of times too, when someone is going from long to short, they'll already have some natural layering in it, especially if they're blonde. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, from here, when you do the blow dry, you're gonna start to wanna blow dry into like what their signature side is gonna be, right? So first, I'm actually going to prep her with some Lanza Lustrous Blowout Spray. And I just love this stuff. It's like liquid gold. So if you've never tried it, cuts down on blow dry time by 60%. So I'm not going to lie, I don't love to blow dry, but I like my clients to have a nice finished style. So this helps me get that done faster and nice. Next, I'm going to actually, I forgot to grab it, is I'm going to do a little bit of our design foam because I do want to put a little bit of guts into this style for her. She does have fine hair. And this is just a little bit of mousse for her. And what I love about this is it doesn't get flaky at all. So I blow dry this into my hair like on wash day. And then I don't have to, like, honestly, I just use like a tidge. There's a tidge again. A tidge of hairspray for my finished style. That way I can go like a couple days, with my style. All right, next is blow drying. And so the blow dryer is gonna be on for a minute. One thing I will say is like, please don't round brush this blow dry. So if you've never flat wrapped before, I really encourage you to start practicing, even if it's on a mannequin. And there's a couple different ways to do it. You can use a Denman. If you don't have a Denman, you can use a paddle brush. Just remember, you're not going to get like as much tension. I have like a smaller one that I can get a little bit closer, like on short haircuts. So yeah, I'm going to start by getting some of this moisture out though first. And even when I power dry, especially on short hair, that's another thing I think we forget as hairstylists. And I'm actually going to move her down a little bit because you can still see her, is that not just our eyes are an important tool, but our hands are a really important tool too. And so it's okay to use them. There's still a little bit of product on my hand, but if I am going to power dry, especially on short hair, really be intentional with your airflow and which direction you are getting it. So I really want to focus the airflow down the cuticle, start closing that cuticle back down. And, a lot of times if you're like me and you aren't just doing cutting or just doing coloring, like a lot of these clients, like my clients, they're coming from a color service, right? So it's about like closing that cuticle back down after a color service. And I really want to make sure that I get some of this moisture out before I just get in there with the brush. And so the first thing when we blow dry, I talk a lot about is the ABCs of blow drying, right? So part A is the root or the base area, the first inch coming out of the scalp. Part B is the mid-length, and part C is the end, right? And the C is going to dry the fastest. It's really not where we should be focusing our blow dry. We should start with root control, and that's really how you're going to get the hair to move and how you're going to get it to behave what to do. So you need to start with part A. You don't blow dry part B until you're done with part A, and you don't blow dry part C until you're done with A and B. So let me just go in with a paddle brush. And why I'm going to show you with a paddle brush how I blow dry this and flat wrap this is because if you are a salon owner or if you have an opportunity to retail brushes, retail a brush. Our clients are looking for ways to do their hair better at home. And so the more we educate them, and the better that you can show them how to do their own hair, then the better they look going out in public and the more referrals you can get. And so I talk a lot about too, like we should constantly be trying to grow and evolve our clientele, right? So even if you're a built stylist, I really always encourage, like, I'm always trying to grow and like change my clientele. That way, you can, one, it allows you once your books get full, that's what allows you to do a price increase, right? Or two, it allows you to start working with, and once you've built your clientele, like you get to start choosing the services you provide. So like if you wanted to get into blonding, like and only blonding, like the more clientele you have, you don't have to fill those gaps with services you might not want to do. Like you might hate hair cutting, and so you don't really want to do hair cutting. Well, you know, when we're first starting our career and we're trying to build, like you take on anything. So even if you're a build stylist, just keep in mind, we could always be trying to grow our clientele. And so why I can do this with like pretty decently with a flat brush is because I want to teach my client how to do it. And so they can buy a brush, probably, hopefully from me, and also retail them products. So everything I do is like a truck and a trailer. So I like to go camping. So I always refer to the truck and the trailer. Wherever my truck goes, my trailer is going to follow, hopefully. And if it doesn't, then it ends up in a crash. So everywhere my truck goes, I try to get my trailer to follow. It's going down the cuticle. It's closing the cuticle, which adds shine. You can see like from the product how shiny it is. So I'm really trying to get that cuticle closed back down. The other thing we need to like be able to do when we are blow drying is be ambidextrous. You have to be able to switch hands, because now if I'm trying to go this way, what am I going to do? I mean, we have to pretend that she has a body, right? Like it's going to look silly if I'm standing back here trying to keep the brush only in my right hand. So we need to be able to switch directions, right? I'm still focused on the cuticle. And I'm making sure that I don't touch the tip of this blow dryer to the hair. These ends of the blow dryer with the concentrator can get over 500 degrees. And the other thing is our clients kind of are always watching. So if I'm doing it, you know, Susan's going home and doing it. And we don't want that because that causes breakage, right? And it decreases the integrity of their hair. So again, it's all about adding value to their services and educating them. Like we all know education is the key to anything, right? And that's why you're here. You're growing your skill set. You're taking the time. So it's really important to share that like with our clientele too. All right, we're almost there. I am going to use this brush, but like, you know, if I wanted to get a little bit more volume, then I'd probably switch to my Denman. This is going to be a little bit more voluminous like that. If you're not comfortable with that right off the bat, and let's see what side I want her signature side to be. We'll just do it on the same side this side. You know, like I said, you can get like a smaller paddle brush. But I always recommend, I used to work in a really big salon and I loved it. But the one thing, which I'm sure a lot of people feel my pain, is that I would invest in really nice tools. And then everyone else would borrow them. So if you are that stylist, borrowing your coworkers' tools, first of all, knock it off. Secondly, like, I know that everyone's buying Starbucks and drinking 10 coffees. So put away $5 a week. I mean, Hairbrain's got so many brushes and some really nice brushes on sale right now. I actually am going to do a Christmas order for myself on hairbrain.pro. So if you have never invested in nice brushes, I highly recommend it. So I'm almost there. And I'm really just focusing on smoothing this hair. I want to cut this on really straight hair, but without flat ironing. That's the other thing. It's about teaching our clients to blow dry really well without automatically taking a flat iron or a hot tool to their hair. Again, going back to the integrity. Okay? So when this is almost done, the last thing I do is I take a cushion brush. I like this one because it's kind of smaller. This one's a little bit bigger, but for short, which I love this, like if they have longer hair and I'm really trying to smooth a lot at a quick amount of time. That I'm going to go, see the difference in the sizes though. I'm going to go with a little bit smaller one. Again, you guys, tools in the tool belt, add them up. And I like to just take some sections of this hair and really smooth it under. And you don't have to go quick here, right? And I just really want to focus the heat. Again, I'm not touching the end of the blow dryer to the hair. I'm just really smoothing this hair. And this Cinnamon has boar bristle and nylon, so I'll still get a little bit of bounce from the nylon bristles, and then the boar bristle will give me a little bit of smoothness. So I'm really just getting this almost like style, but we still have some cutting to do. I'm just smoothing down. I'm going to move my elbow so you guys can see. Really focused on just smoothing these ends, getting it nice and straight, because I know when I'm cutting this on perfectly straight hair, if they add any movement in with an iron, or if they have a natural wave pattern, if I cut it perfectly on straight hair, it's going to look even better when it's, you know, got some curl or wave in it. So I'm almost there. Sorry. Getting that smoothness in. And you can see I've started to style her over to this side. Ooh. I'm just going to smooth this a little bit. All right. And then I'm going to smooth this back part under because I don't know what happened there. And I'm going to just smooth that. And what's nice about this like smaller Denman is I can get it under there and give this a little bit, oh, I see what's happening. Give this a little bit of a curve. Because it's small enough that I can rotate the brush. I'm focusing the heat down here at the bottom, and then the hair has time to cool as it goes over the ridge of the Denman. Because we all know that the cooling process is what sets like a curling. Oh, this mannequin stand. All right, one last section, and then we're going to move on to graduating and layering this. Curve this under a little bit. Okay. See what I mean? I could get carried away and fiddle with something forever. All right. Now I'm going to find my comb. Maybe. Here we go. Okay. So now I'm going to think of the rest of this haircut in either, I say a pizza or a pie, whatever you prefer, if you're salty or sweet. I'm going to go with pizza because it is definitely my cheat meal. So I'm going to go with pizza, and we're going to think about this in the shape of a pizza. So we're going to have a high point of the head. That's our little table in the pizza box. And everything is going to look like, the sectioning is going to look like pizza slices, okay? So can everyone visualize that? So I'm going to start from my high point. I am going to start center back. Now, with everything behind the ear, and especially like back here, let's keep in mind that humans have an occipital. And a lot of times that occipital protrudes out, right? So we don't want to round layer back here a ton, because if our length is this long. If it's a little bit higher, it might be okay. But just remember, if I were to round layer this, meaning I cut in here and then I continue to round layer, well, by the time I get up here, now I've taken this really, really short, and when this comes down, it's going to hit right at the occipital, and then everything kind of underneath is like going to fall over, and there's going to be this kind of weird disconnect, and then you're going to have to work really hard to blend it. So just remember, in the back, humans have an occipital bone, and so we're going to keep this sectioning really low. I'm not going to elevate a ton. If you need to think about it in like an angle, like if you want to think about 90, here's my guide. All my guides are coming from the bottom, and we are going to cut into this, but I'm not going to lift. I'm coming out, and I'm just going to start to softly point cut right into this. I'm not looking to take off a ton of length back here. I'm just looking to slightly graduate this. So I'm going to comb that down and see how that starts to hug in for me. Now I'm going to work to the left or the right, whichever way you want to work. I'm right-handed, and for some reason I work to the left side first. I don't know. So I can take some of my previous section, but I don't really need to. Again, the guide is coming from the bottom. I've already put in my foundation, my length, so I know that I don't want to cut shorter than that. And I'm just going to softly point cut into this and take off a little bit of length up top, but not a ton. And if you need to readjust, like I do like using the fine tooth of the comb on dry hair. I like that a lot. And I'm just going to keep rotating her so you guys can kind of see. I'm just going to continue to work my pizza shaped sections from the high point of the head. It gets a little bit wider at the bottom. Again, I'm going to see how blunt this line is. I'm going to softly point cut into this. I'm going to take out a little bit of length. There we go. And you can see how it's going to start to hug here. See how it's starting to hug in, soften up compared to this really heavy weighted line. I'm going to keep going. And I section. This is probably my last section on the side. This part of the head is a little bit flatter, but again, I'm just pulling straight out, softly point cutting. It's not too deep into this. On these sides, the side of the head is a little bit of a flatter area, right? So if I need to, I can round a little bit more here as I start to work into this side area, but I would just recommend starting off with a low elevation. Now, you can keep going to the front. Me personally, I like to finish the whole back half and then move to the front. So I'm going to go back to the center back. Well, I'm a little bit to the right of it now. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And if you are just joining us, thank you. And I'd love to, if you guys are on there, see where everyone is chiming in from. I always love to see that. I'm in Southern California. It's kind of windy today. It's been a little bit colder. This little SoCal girl is not ready for the winter, to be honest. Oh man, I've been wearing this, like, I would probably look ridiculous because I am in Southern California. It's still sunny, but this like down jacket that has a hood, like it goes all the way to my kneecaps. I just got it at the beginning of summer, actually. So yeah, I've looked a little ridiculous lately, but I'm cold. Okay, so I've worked the whole back section from ear to ear. Now let's finish this front really quick. So from the front, let me raise her up a little bit. Hi, Heather. I'm just gonna keep working in my pizza shaped sections here. And so I'm still coming all the way from this high point of the head. Now, again, I have the length as my guide, but now that I'm in front of the ear and this side of the hair is flat, I actually wanna create a little bit more movement. So anything in front of the ear, I'm actually going to start to round layer up. And I'm just gonna follow that guide like that. And I'm gonna continue to work in these pizza shaped sections. So I have my guide as my length. I've already put in my foundation. I'm gonna softly point cut that. And then I'm going to round up, cut to my second knuckle so that I keep even tension, round layer up again, and then comb it all out. All right, next section. All right, I'm gonna pull this straight out. See I have my length as my guide. I'm gonna cut that, and then I'm gonna round up, cut into this. I'm gonna round layer up, start to cut into that. And then I'm gonna turn her so you guys can see this. I have a guide from the back right there and a guide in the front, and I'm just matching that, point cutting right into it. Oh my goodness. All right, so that's that side. Let me do this side really quick. I think I gotta turn her all the way around for you. We're dancing today. All right, so now coming from this side, I'm gonna use length as a guide, cut in right above, and I'm gonna start to round layer this up because we have no occipitals on the side, it's flatter. I want this to be blended with the back a little bit more, have some shorter pieces on top and movement so I can get volume in. All right, piece of shape section here. I'm gonna pull this straight out, cut right in, round layer up, so move, cut to my second knuckle for tension. And what I mean by that is that we cut to our second knuckle because after we pass in between here, there's less tension here then, which creates more inconsistencies. So I'm gonna take this last section, cut right into it. I can see my guide there. Start to pull this up, I can see my guide. All right. And then if it feels too heavy, like feel free to cut into it. Again, going back to trusting your eyes here. If something looks heavy, cut into it. Don't be afraid. All right, so let's refine the line and put in our signature side and wrap this up really quickly and easily. So let's see the back. So I'm liking this. If you need to like refine any lines, like it's a little long here and a little heavy, like don't be afraid to like pinch and softly take hair out. And then I want to refine this line a little bit, and this is why I say leave this line a little bit longer than what you think, right? So I'm really just looking to clean up this final line. Now when you're doing this, if you are doing this freehand, just something to note is be aware of this hair under here. I had my daughter cut my hair once, which like she's 14, so whatever, like she's awesome, like she's a hairdresser's daughter, and she's really like OCD like me. And so I didn't warn her though because my underneath was pretty grown out, like, and so she did, like she knows to like hold the blade here, but it cut into my shaved part. So if you are going to, if you've left a little bit of length on this, like at a 4, then just be aware to like kind of pull this hair up before you put your blade into this. So I like that, it's looking good. Let's go into our signature side really quick. So here, let's just comb it into place, okay? And I'm just going to put it into its natural fall. And I'm gonna pick like my longest point here, like where I want to go to. And I typically, if I am gonna do a signature side that's a little longer, I typically aim for like to hug, kind of shape the similar shape around the eyebrow. So like it just really makes a nice accent to like follow a similar shape of their eyebrow. So I kind of pick my point here. I put my still blade right on her cheek and just do little snips at a time. Okay, and we're going right up. Now, when you get up here, and she's not a mannequin, she does have eyebrow hair. So another part of hair to keep an eye out for. Do not cut into her eyebrow hair. She will be very sad. All right, so there's my signature side. Now I can leave it like pretty blunt like this. I can channel cut it if I want. Again, talking about tools in the tool belt, knowing where to get them. If I want to soften this up, I can channel cut right in there. I can pick this up if I want and softly point cut into this if I want to make it a little bit softer. Let's talk about if we want to join the other side. I love this personally, having even like a little disconnection here, but if she wants to connect it more, I'm just going to over direct from my long side to my short side and start to softly put this connection in. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up a little bit more. Again, I'm just coming right in and I'm keeping my blade moving at a similar pace. I'm not taking deep chunks or anything like that. I can even come directly in and cut right there. Yeah, I'm liking that. It's a little bit more blended now. If I want to take out even a little bit more, I can just point cut. You might have to lift up here. Depends on if you have like a visor, like a cutting visor or anything like that. But yeah, I'm liking that. And lastly, like I would refine this side, right? Like refine any lines that I need to refine. This right here looks a little bit heavy for me, right? So I can come in and just like grab this heavy point, again, trusting our eyes, and take out a little bit of the heaviness that you want. So you can cut it out that way. You can come right in and channel cut like this. You can take a blending shear if you want and pick up the section. Just know how many teeth you have, right? Like, and what that result, that shear is going to give you. Again, going back to knowing your tools, right? But yeah, I mean, really simple, you guys. Short hair is simple and it's great and you all can do it. And if I want to add more texture in, you know, like use your texturizing tools, right? Like you can use a blending shear. If like, again, this is looking too heavy and you want, or you wanted some short pieces to really make this pop, like you can, right? Take a section, fold it over, and let's put in some short pieces. Especially if like you're gonna practice on a mannequin, like test some stuff out. I always recommend testing on friends or mannequins, but friends if you could get them. And yeah, just like practice, like trusting your eyes, seeing where you want to take out more hair, get the hair to move around a bunch. But look at that. That was just with a paddle brush, you guys. So teach your clients how to do their hair, sell them product, sell them tools if you have the capability to do that. But yeah, that's about it. So I hope you liked it. I hope you are more confident in doing a short haircut. Just remember the number 4. I always finish with like, typically, like I did put that design foam in there, but I love me a good texture spray. So I'll usually finish with like a little bit of texture spray with my clients. And let's see here, get her all styled. It is so funny not working with the mirror. And then I'll typically lock it in with our lustrous finishing spray, which if you've never smelled this stuff, ooh, it's fantastic. And if you want to add in a little bit of volume, you can puff them up, really like piece them out here. But just have fun with it. Cut short hair. We need more short hair cutters. Have a good time.